Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. Weather's crazy no matter where you are. Maybe you're too much rain or cold, or here in sunny Florida, it's cold. It got very cold last night. So I do have a guest coming in a little while. Douglas is going to come and talk more and explain the I am presence. And some of you may want to start working with that. But we're going to go ahead and say hello to people here. Well, good morning, Chase. You have a blessed day also, all of you. And Barbara Ward. Ontario, pretty cold there. Yeah. And I've heard that. The sun's shining, but it's cold. Who knows what's going on in our world, huh? Yeah, not me. All right. Carol, good morning. I know, I talked to her. It's cold there. But getting not as cold as it would be for winter, usually up in Pennsylvania. And she's reminding you to hit the like button. And Marby, good morning. All right. So let's get our energy set for the morning. So we're going to ask for Mother and Father to come and to sit down within our hearts and remind us that they're always here for us. I'll remind you that if you don't feel it, if there's times that you are in need, God will pick you up and carry you, or he always will walk with holding your hand if you need it. So when you can have your faith to know that's so, there's nothing throughout your day that you cannot handle and choose to have a greater positive thought about. So we all attempt to do that the best that we can as we learn and grow that they are there and that they are real. So we're going to ask all the phylums of the angels to come and be ever present today. Metatron himself, if he'd like to come, and to all the ascended beings, and to those in the universe who are studying and come to listen and to hear people growing here. So let's say our mantra together. Some part of my mind is not thinking that we've been doing that lately. Let's see, maybe there's more people here. No. Good morning again, Marby. All right. I am the soul. I am the light divine. I am love. I am will. I am fixed design. So for the months that we've been doing that, do you tend to think of what that really means about yourself and where you are in consciousness, about your awareness of your energy and your light? The more you move along the path, the more magical it all begins to seem, and you begin to have a greater honoring and faith and know that you're precious inside. Actually, I have a stone to share with everyone. Maybe I did. I don't know. But there was once a meteorite in Colorado. Nevada. And what it did is it caught the forest there on fire, and all the trees burned. Well, this is a piece of a limb that, as it laid on the ground and they fossilized, became a stone. And I don't know if you can see the beautiful pink that it is, but it is known now to be precious. And to remind us that no matter how it looks, that deep within, see, here's the outer part of the wood. Within, there's preciousness. Yes. How about that? And it's very lovely to sit with, to meditate. And good morning, Julie Johnson. Yes. So today's a day to have opportunity to have conversation with me. Douglas is going to be coming. But does anyone have any questions that for a little bit here you can ask me? Well, I'm here. In the world of where I work with people, we've been working a lot on stress, the outer world stress, and how we interact with it and what happens actually when we stop acting out with it. And think of your morning and how many moments have you had of stress yet? And if you haven't, God bless you. May it become your normal way of living. And it's a wonderful process. We just have to support the earth now as apparently it's going through a transformation, which is not any different than us. Mother, has been pelted with a lot of things over the years. And she's starting to shed some of those things that she has anguish about and bring healing into it. So we want to be supportive and not be disturbed about it. For whatever is happening in your area now, I'm sure there's a positive benefit to it. Just as we look at all things that are healing, there's always a silver lining. And things come up for a reason. They come up because they need to be loved and perceived differently. And have the miracle, the love that's in your heart, touch them so that they can move into shifting. So, what is a miracle? I hear somewhere in the consciousness. A miracle is when something becomes truth that you never anticipated it could. And the problem with that is, and why it's so unusually heard, is we believe in problems as a human. We believe that we're stuck and there's certain things we can't remove ourselves from. And that changes as you begin to understand God and Mother. And there are many angels, ascended masters, all the above, who can come and help you transform your life and situations, as long as you're willing to open to see differently. There's another issue. A lot of people are not willing. They're attached to how it is, even though they're unhappy. So what do I have to say about that? Well, understand the one rule no one can ever break is you cannot have a controlling effect upon someone's will. They must make that decision for themselves. We can love them while they do that. And we can call in the angels and Father and Mother to come and to support them. But we, in the realm that we are, have no power, and it's the law that's written that we cannot interfere with another person's will. So we can talk about it. And usually I don't talk about things unless somebody asks me, because on some level that still feels interfering. And our world is changing. People are wakening up. And if we think of that as a scope of the whole world with everything that's happening, people are having to need to search for something that's real, because our world that we were living in is kind of faltering. That's not to scare anyone, but it's not. If I think back when I was small, the sun coming up, the rain, the snow at almost to a certain day you knew was coming. And it's not like that anymore. We never know. And I don't think anymore that the weathermen know. So we're living in a world where we have to be awake and trust the moment, and there's a purpose, whether it may not be for you that day, but for someone there's a purposeful reasoning why things are happening and look the way they do, and the world will become a friend again. a wondrous place to live, and you can begin to see the inner beauty. We sometimes forget, get in our busy lives and day in, day out, and school and kids and work, and we forget that there are mountains out there that speak and radiate out over the entire area. And the ocean still is always the ebb and tide offering us to come and to play with it. So those things haven't changed to that much extreme, other than there's some places you go now and some places you don't. So, good morning, Anik. Anik's from all around the world on the other side in Switzerland, and I'm sure it's very cold there. Good morning, Gina M. Well, you're welcome to listen as you're working. You know, it's always good to have things to ponder, because that's how you grow. If you don't allow the consciousness of your soul to investigate and understand and look for more, then you're going to be stuck, and none of us deserve to be stuck. That might be an old vow someone took, VOW, at another time. Oh, I vow to stay stuck in this and never leave. Well, all you have to do is call Jesus in, and he'll twirl around his energy and unleash that vow. There are no vows that need to be held anymore. Contracts that you've written, if you are a master and came back and gave up all your gifts so that you could show to people that there is a way to relearn, to reestablish, and how they can stand on the path of the way and achieve. Perhaps you're becoming awake to the understanding that your contracts are being released. We only saved 7% of who we were. 93% of who we were, we agreed to give up. So, but every lifetime, it's how it's always been, that we have to go back, continue from where we left off. And then if you're someone who had attained that, this lifetime, because the earth has an intention to ascend, that we're here for that and for people. So, let me see here. In a couple minutes, I'll see if Douglas is ready. Very good. Does anybody have a question you want to write in about? Gina M's calling you chatters, so you better chat. No, nothing on your mind today. Wow. I watched something on TV this week. I'm not one of those that believe that TV is an evil thing. You learn from it. And I'm sure maybe you've watched the Ink Masters. You're welcome, Chase. I do my best. And I watched it because in the loving of my body, I knew I would never want to have to suffer through that. And I believe that word's correct, because a number of them had to be carried out by an MT. And they were going into shock. And you wonder why people do that. And is that a part of their awakening? So we really can't sit in judgment, but we can also question, how are we creating a suffering for ourselves? And is that because that's how people choose to grow? It's not such a far question, but I did get to experience seeing that something of beauty went on a body that really wasn't created to be there, but they were willing to suffer and to cry and to shake and scream to have that. They had to have it. So isn't it interesting when you really think about people and how we all come together. And the only question I can keep asking myself sometimes is, why? And not as a judgment, I'll repeat myself, but it's how you learn about consciousness. It's how you understand what motivates people. And the scary piece is, remember, I've told you, we are all one. I have seen that in many ways shown to me. So some part of that suffering and that willfulness, that's what I'll call it, has been a part of us before, and perhaps we've healed it and let it go, and we no longer sit there. So we have to ask ourselves why. And then I have went in to ask myself, where is that why for me? Or where has it been? At least so I can acknowledge, yes, okay, I did work through that and leave it go. So we need to think about suffering in many ways in our, whether it's religions or dogma, whatever you want to call it. We have been taught about suffering. But I don't believe that it's actually necessary any longer when you get to a point to really understand that it comes from a consciousness that doesn't really know God. And that's why suffering exists. That I have read books, many different types about God. And since I've begun to hear him and talk to him, I find him the greatest word, not just loving, but gentle. And I don't and cannot imagine him requiring anyone to suffer. So it is self-inflicted. Self-inflicted. And we must, within ourselves, discover, why are we doing this to ourselves? Why is it not the easier concept to choose the path of love? And that when we reach a place where we find there are cells of suffering, to embrace it and let it have conversation so that you can love it and release it. And in so many ways, there's just so many ways to release these things now. So that's where my day was yesterday, as I would continue on. And then there was suffering in the group against each other and the arguing. It was just very fascinating to me that in the world I live, that all that went on, broadcast on TV, and who is it really drawing? Myself, who has nothing of that, and know that I would never get a tattoo or anything. The mother of my grandson does have tattoos. So every time she might say to him, he should get one, I'll say, your body would not ever want that chance. In such the loving way. But again, there's a will involved, and he'll be a choice. So sometimes I'm going to encourage you, if you have something like that. And the way to study it and understand it is to, whether it's participating and watching it and wondering why. And there were a lot of people in the final to watch that and yell and scream, and it was wonderful. I mean, why? Because their beauty of who they are isn't yet enough? I have no idea. I have no answers other than sending love to all those who feel that need, that they may find and discover it in some way, in a loving way, through God's light. But these type of things and many others are happening every day. And as we sit here many times, not conscious of even what we're doing or thinking or where we're going and how we spend our time throughout the day, it is a fascinating thing to see what people spend so much energy and so much time into, and it's painful. So there's my thought. Looks like Douglas has arrived. So I'll bring him on, and you can listen and have a little chat with him. How's that feel? I don't see anyone ask me a question, but that's all right. A comment from Chase. Thank you, Chase. All right, let me see. I'll add him to our stream here. Well, good morning, Douglas.
Good morning. How's everyone today?
Very good. I'm
Good.
going to hear double of you. You didn't shut the
Yeah,
door.
I'm going to shut the door. Hold on.
Sorry, everybody. Yes, he truly wasn't that far away. Doug is very well known in his relationship with all the masters. He has actually studied at the master. What's the name of the master class, Doug, that they do?
What the I am presence, and
Oh, no.
it
That's
just
what
basically, excuse me?
That's what I asked you to talk about today.
Right.
But there's a class. You don't remember.
I don't remember the name, but it's been so long ago.
All right, so I'm going to give Doug the floor, and you can still bring in questions. We can ask him, but let's listen to how he perceives and knows of the I am presence. Go ahead, Doug.
Well, when I was contemplating what to talk about and what I think everybody really needs to focus on, especially in this time of what the earth is going through with all the negativity and all the energy that is bombarding us on a daily basis. The thing that comes to us is the information or the presence of God within. And the way that you tap in to that presence of God in the heart is through your I am presence. Now, I don't know how many people actually focus on your I am presence. This is a picture of what you look like spiritually. The bottom figure is you. The middle figure is your higher mental body, or sometimes what they call the guardian angel. And then the top figure is your I am presence. Your I am presence is actually the focus of God, of all of God's powers that your outer self may tap into. It supplies the outer self with life, intelligence, power, and action. So as you focus on bringing your presence down into the physical form, what it does is starts to bring that presence of peace and harmony and power and understanding down into your consciousness. So when we talk about the imperfection of life, there is a perfection of life that you can tap into, and that is your I am presence. And that is why we talk about the journey into the heart, because the I am presence comes down through the crown, down into the heart, and anchors into the heart. Now, everybody has known or talked about or heard of the silver cord. That comes from the heart of your presence down through the point where, as a child, was the soft spot of your head. And it comes down through the brain, down into the heart. And then it sends light to every organ of the body. So as you focus on that, it not only brings strength, intelligence to you, but it also brings the energy of perfection. But how do we bring that perfection into our life? You know, most of my teaching is spoken word. What you say to yourself, how do you talk to yourself? How do you talk about life? And 9 times out of 10, a lot of people look and speak of what they don't want. all the things that is wrong with life. But as you focus on your presence within the heart, what the shift has to be is looking at the perfection of life within. And as you ask, because God can't bring you anything until you ask for him to bring it into your life, because we have free will. So as you ask for that peace, the prosperity, the love to start to engulf you, what happens is it comes from the inside out. And that's where we need to focus. We can't focus on anything out here in the third dimensional reality because it's not who we are. The truth of who we are is our presence. And as you focus on this the I am presence, and ask for protection. I don't know how many people do protection prayer or anything like that. As you ask your presence to bring this tube of white light down, it brings it from the presence all the way down below your feet, and then it actually brings up the violet flame from the 3 feet below your feet all the way around you. But as you work with this tube of white light, it can get so strong that it will stop a bullet. Okay? So, but you need to work with it in the beginning almost constantly, because any emotional outburst or anything that is on a negative aspect takes away right away until you start to methodically work with it and feel it around you 24 hours a day. But the most important thing is the connection to the heart. And that's where you'll find that preciousness of who you are. Because everyone in life is precious. There's an essence within you that will give you everything that you want. But you need to focus on it. And that is your I am presence. And that's why really God put himself within the heart so that you would take that internal journey. Because out here isn't who we are. The truth of who we are is right here in the heart. It has, excuse me, the power, the love, the wisdom, the knowledge, everything that you need to create your life the way that you want it. But it has to be from the internal aspect rather than even the mind. You know, you need to really bring that energy, because the energy comes down through the brain down into the heart. Now, most people qualify their energy that comes from their presence in the head, in the brain. And that takes that energy and kind of creates chaos. So as you bring that energy down into the heart and feel the peace and the strength that you are, and then ask from the heart space, that energy goes back up into the mind, and the mind goes out and creates that perfection within or without. Because it creates with a totally different energy than when you create with the mind. And that's really why we should start focusing on your presence and focusing your journey inwardly. Now, as you do that, there are things that will come up that you will need to look at and resolve. And that's why you need healing. That's why you need to be conscious of everything that is in your energy field. Everything you say needs to be looked at in the beginning to see if that's the truth of who you are. And as you bring that into the violet flame, it annihilates it. The violet flame will take everything away except your lessons that you need to learn. But it will eventually, but you need to learn the lesson in that. Okay? So as we focus on the I am presence, I'm going to read this little prayer that brings the presence or the tube of white light around you. And I want everybody just to sit and to kind of go into your heart and feel the energy as I say this little prayer. And see if you can feel the energy from the presence coming down around you. Beloved, I am presence bright. Round me seal your tube of light. From ascended master flame, call forth now in God's own name. Let it keep my temple free from all discord sent to me. I'm calling forth violet fire to blaze and transmute all desire. Keeping on in freedom's name till I am one with the violet flame. Now, the more that you can feel that and feel it coming up from below your feet into the physical form, it feels like a sizzle in your cells. It's a spiritual sizzle, annihilating any karmic energy, any negative being or negative situation in your life. And the more you call that around you, the more it protects you. So nothing but God's love can ever enter your life. So I hope this gave you some insight on really why we need to focus and understand your I am presence and go on the internal journey to find that presence within. Thank you for your time. Have a blessed day.
Let's see if there's anyone who's going to write a question, if you don't mind, Doug, for a moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have a question on all the information Doug gave you about your presence? Quiet. So maybe this is saying they already knew about the presence. So what would be the next step? Reading book 3?
Well, that would be a good thing to do, is go into the Saint Germain Foundation and order book 3. That is really the teachings that Saint Germain came to us in the 30s to bring forth. It teaches you all about your I am presence, the violet flame, and how to connect. It will actually give you a decree for every situation in life. I read it all the time. It's an amazing book. So,
is that the same place that you find this little book?
No, that's from Claire Prophet. So that's the Summit Lighthouse. Mm-hmm. The Saint Germain Press is where you go for the I am discourses.
So you all might really like this book because it has a lot of prayers and decrees, and then that you can use to help shift your life and your awareness. And I'm going to just read one here for you to give you an idea. This one is the call to the fire breath. I am the fire breath of God, from the heart of beloved Alpha and Omega. This day I am the immaculate concept and expression everywhere I move. Now I am full of joy, for now I am the full expression of divine love. My beloved, I am presence. Seal me now within the very heart of the expanding fire breath of God. Let its purity, wholeness, and love manifest everywhere I am today and forever. I accept this is done right now with full power. I am this done right now with full power. I am God life expressing perfection. Always at all times. This which I call forth for myself, I call forth for every man and woman and child on this planet. And take a deep breath. So those are the kind of things, if you want to bring decreeing and another level of the expression of the light into your light. So here's from Carol and Barbara. Douglas, thank you for your sharing. And Barbara says, thank you, Douglas. That was wonderful and deeply profound teaching. Now, when I daily say the Tube of Light protection prayer, she will also focus on her I am presence. Well, if you're doing the prayer, that's the first thing it says is, beloved, I am presence bright. You might not have just become aware of it, but it is through the presence that you do the light protection prayer. Right?
Yes.
And
When you
Chase
give
says,
credence to your presence, it brings many, many blessings into your life.
yeah. Okay.
Well, I appreciate everybody's time today.
Yes. So tomorrow we'll have messages. So I'm glad you enjoyed our little time we had here today. But if you have a question, we're more than willing to answer. And I hope you see that, Barbara. If you're doing Beloved, I am presence bright, round me seal your tube of light from ascended master flame, call forth now in God's own name, you are tapping into your presence. And she is where that tube of light comes from. Okay? So I wish everyone blessings. Sandy, she says, please stay. Well, do you have a question for us, Sandy? Perhaps you have some comment to make, Douglas, before I was talking about the will, a person's will, and how, as spiritual beings, we don't have the ability to change that, do anything with that. That people have their own will.
Yes, but as you focus on the presence, it will bring that energy of God with his will and open you up to allow that energy of perfection, that energy of abundance, that energy of all that God is into your life.
Okay, so Sandy wrote a question. She wants to know how come no longer she feels loved ones that have passed on.
Well, loved ones also have their own path. They do grow and they do have their own journey to take. So you may not feel them around you all the time, but they check in every once in a while. So you just have to ask, because when you ask and you talk to them, they can hear and know what you need. So it's basically their presence is with you, but they're on their own journey of growth. So all you have to do is talk to them, and they'll be there for you.
You may smell a whiff of perfume. We do that numerous times.
Yeah.
And it lets you know that they're there. Yes, I'm aware of that. I feel I'm tapping in to a deeper level to experience all the aspects of God's love.
Very good.
Yes, there's a lot.
Yeah, there is.
Always more. I do not believe it will ever end.
Always in a growth.
Mm-hmm. Especially now that we're moving out of third dimension into higher levels. There's so many quantum levels of fields to have perception and frequencies from. It's a wonderful thing to be on a journey of growing, to be able to experience it all. So here's a statement from Sandy. She also works with the elderly. Why do I keep finding them? It's sad yet peaceful.
Why do you keep finding the elderly? Is that what you're asking?
Okay, might take her a minute to respond. See, now I'm smelling potatoes. And it's not potatoes here.
Okay, so you're saying that they come to you
Can you
after
see
they
it, Doug?
pass.
Yeah.
Well, in essence, you have an open channel, and they seek anybody that has passed over that hasn't really moved on to their final place looks for the light, and you have a radiant light that they come to. So all you need to do is ask Jesus or any of the masters to come and take them to where they need to be.
We used to do that whenever we went past graveyards. We just call on all the angels and ask them to take everyone with them who was hanging out instead of being where they had been meant to move on. Anyone else? Okay. I hope that answers your question, Sandy.
Well, a lot of people hang out because if they have died in a very quick or manner, or they haven't given up the strong urge to this third dimensional energy, they decide to hang around around the earth until they're ready to move on.
Well, they may be attached to someone they feel won't take care of themselves without them.
That is true.
That's why attachments is something we all need to release from ourselves. So it's best to give them permission to go. Take the opportunity to walk them up to heaven. That's quite an experience. Right, Doug?
Mm-hmm. And just call the masters in and they will take care of them. Any master that you're particularly drawn to, ask them to come in and usher them up.
Okay. She says that explains a lot.
Yes.
All right. Well, have a blessed day today, that's for sure. And I will see you tomorrow. And we'll see what all the heaven experience above has for all of you. So lots of love. Enjoy your day. Many
Blessings to everyone.